Hello everyone, you're welcome to another tutorial. My name is Lillian and I want to appreciate all of you for liking, for subscribing and for sharing and commenting on my videos. I do not take that for granted. So in this tutorial I'll be showing you all how I made this Bolero jacket for a 2-year-old. Please try and watch to the end so that you get all the details of how I cut and sew this. And also follow me on Instagram at Lilyful Designs and send me pictures of outfits you want me to try on. So let's go right into the video. So I used scuba fabric for this dress and also a cotton lining. Half yard of each will do. So the first thing I am to do is to start off with the basic bodies, and I have folded my material into 4. And I have marked out my half length, which is 9 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance. So on the shoulder I will take half of the shoulder measurements, but on that shoulder I'll be adding 0.25 ease allowance because this is a jacket and you'll be wearing a cloth under. So I'll add 0.25 each ease allowance, then before adding my half inch for the joining allowance. So what I marked was 4.75, and on the shoulder I came down by half an inch and took 2 inches for the neck width, then before connecting it to the shoulder slope. The neck width is 2 inches and the shoulder slant is 0.5 inches. Like I said, I folded my fabric into 4. So the next thing I am to take now is the neck depth, which is 2 inches. So 2 inches for the neck depth of the front. So I'll move to the armhole depth. I'll be adding 0.5 ease allowance as well. I don't want it to be tight. Half of the round armhole is 4 inches, so I'll be adding half an inch to it, which is 4.5 inches. So I am taking out a straight line from what I have on the shoulder and I'm turning it into a straight line to form my chest line. I'll go ahead and take what I have on my shoulder line and place it on that chest line for me to get a straight line that will form my armhole depth. So I'll turn that into a straight line as well. And that line I'll divide it into 2. If you have been watching my videos, you will be used to this by now. After dividing it by 2, I will come in by half an inch for the front armhole. And I will take my quarter of my chest circumference and I'll add my allowance on that chest line. I will take exactly what I have there on the waist as well. The chest circumference and waist circumference are the same thing. So I will connect it. And I will connect the points for the armhole. I'll first of all mark the front armhole. And I'll go ahead and mark the back. So while cutting it, I'll cut on the back first before cutting on the front. So remember to add your half an inch seaming allowance on the shoulder. So I've added it right there, and this pattern is only remaining the neck depth for the back. And I'll go ahead and put my neck depth for the back, which will be 1 inch. You can do half an inch or 0.75, but I used 1 inch for the neck depth for the back. And I'll join it straight to the neck width. I'll go right ahead and cut this out. I'll cut through the back armhole first and the back neckline. And after that, I'll remove it and trim off the front. So this is what we'll have after cutting it. And I've removed the back. The back will be cut on the fabric exactly this way. So this is the front, and on the end part, the hem part will come out by 1 inch, come inside by 1 inch. You can come by 2 inches. It depends on how curvy you want that end. you can curve from your neckline to the chest line and to that 1 inch that you have on your waist, or you can leave it straight. You can just go ahead and be creative with it. However design or style you want about it, you can go ahead and have that. So I just came in by 1 inch on the waistline, and I'm connecting from my chest line to that 1 inch, and I'll be having the from the neckline straight. I want to have a button loop, so I won't be curving that chest part. So I'll go ahead and cut it open. If you don't want a button lip, if you want that place curvy on your chest line, you can come inside by 0.5 as well, or even 1 inch. So this is what my front will look like. Remember to trim off that front armhole, please. I forgot to do that on camera. I did it off camera. So you trim off that front armhole, and this is how it will look like after cutting. I'll take this to my fabric and cut it out. So for that front part, while cutting it on the fabric, you add half an inch seam allowance that you use to turn it on that part, on that front part. You know it's open now, so we have to add half an inch seam allowance. So for the sleeve, I just marked out the full length of the sleeve, my elbow line, my cap height, and the starting point. So on that cap height, I input half of the round armhole plus the seam allowance I used. So half of the round armhole I used was 4 inches plus that 0.5 inches, 0.5 inch is allowance, that is 4.5 plus my allowance of 1 inch. So I connected it straight to the starting point and divided into two. Then I'll move up by half an inch and I'll connect it straight to that 4.5 inches, and also use the curvy part of the ruler to form a curve. That's for the back armhole. Then for the front, you come down on that initial point you made and connect it like so, just the way you see me doing. So on the elbow, you put in half of the elbow measurement plus the allowance you are using. And also for the round sleeve opening, the sleeve opening, you put the round sleeve by divided by 2 plus the seam allowance you are using, and you join them as shown. For the puff, I am going up from that starting point by 2 inches. You can go up as much as 3 inches, or even use 1.5, depending on the volume of the puff you want. So I'll be using 2 inches, and I'll connect it to that middle mark I made initially. So that extension of 2 inches is how big our puff is going to be. So I placed my ruler and traced it well. So right now I'll go ahead and cut it out. I will extend my line to that hemming allowance I left at the down part, and I'll cut it out. So remember, the front has to be deeper, so I'm just trimming out a little out from that point so that the front will be deeper than the back. That's my back, and for the front. And I'll take this to cut out my fabric. So that 2 inches extension we'll have at the upper part, we'll have to gather it, and that will form our puff. Your gather will stop on that line, on that first line. That's where your gather should stop at. So I'll take this and cut it out on my fabric. So right now I've cut out all the pieces I need. This is for the front. The front, I cut it out on the scuba fabric and also on the lining. As for the back, I did the same. And for the sleeve, I cut out two sleeves for the fabric and for the lining. So what I will do for the puff is that I notched that first line. I notched it. I will start my gathering with a needle and thread, and I will gather from one end to the other. I will stop on the other notch I made. So this is how it will look. After gathering, you can tie it or leave it. Just secure it properly. And I will do it for the rest of the three sleeves. I will go ahead and gather the rest of the three sleeves just like I did on that first one. Both the fabric, which is the scuba, and the lining. So I will do it and keep them separately. So this is how my sleeves look like after gathering them, the four of them. So I'll bring my back piece and my front piece. This is for the lining, and I'll join the shoulder together. I'll join the lining separately, and I'll join the scuba separately. I'll join them with 1/2 inch on the shoulder, and I'll attach the sleeves to them. The lining will have its own sleeve. I'll attach them separately and attach to the scuba separately too. So I've gone ahead to attach the shoulder, to join the shoulder and attach the sleeve for both the scuba and the lining. So I'll go ahead and attach my button loop. I'll be using a fringe, a strip of fringe. So I'll put what the picture looks like on the screen. I will cut out 2 inches of that fringe. You can fold in your cotton lining and create a loop for yourself, but I just want to be using this tiny fringe to make the loop. So I will cut it out and attach it to any of the sides of the front part on the scuba fabric alone. So I've cut that out 2 inches, unfold 1 inch. So I've cut it out. It depends on the size of the button you'll be using. So I'll place it on the front part towards the neck area, but I'll come down by 1/2 inch so that I'll be able to turn my neckline. So I've sewn on it. I came down by 1/2 inch so that I'll join my lining and my scuba fabric. So I'll go right ahead and place them right side facing each other, and I'll stuff my sleeve inside the second one. I'll put in my sleeve this way. The lining will be inside the scuba fabric, but both of them will be right side facing each other. I'll bring it out from the sleeve. I've put the other sleeve, so I'm showing you how I'll be putting this one. So you make sure that the seam line of that sleeve of the lining is facing the seam line of the scuba. So I've put it inside, and I'll go ahead from the center back. I will match two of them together and sew. Make sure all the seam lines are matching together. I will sew round it. I will sew round from the neckline to the bottom part, and I will arrive at that neck area again. So I will take it again. I'll sew from that center back through to the hemline, and again back to the center back. Remember, my sleeve is still open. And after sewing that, I made an opening on one side of the dress, on the lining. I made an opening on the lining, and from that line inside, I turned it outside. From that opening, I was able to turn to the right side. So I will use my needle and thread and secure this opening to stitch it down. Remember, my sleeve is still open, so I'll go ahead and fold in the sleeve. I'll fold in the scuba separate, and also the lining separate. Just look at the way I'm doing it. I'm folding it inside separate, and the lining also I'll fold it so both of the rough edges will be facing each other. Then I'll take to my sewing machine and stitch that down. I'll do same to the second sleeve. So right now I've sewn on all the parts I was to sew, and I attached my button. See how beautiful it's turning out. My sleeve is well sewn. So turning to the inside, this is how the inside looks. It looks neat from the inside and from the outside as well. So as you can see, I've stitched that opening I made earlier, and I'll be turning to the outside. I'll go ahead to my ironing table to give this dress a good ironing before attaching my flower or applique at the upper part. So for the applique, I'll be using two of these, and I'll decide on which side to put it. I think I prefer the upper part. I'll attach the two to the upper part, and the clothes is ready. So please, if you watch up to this point, endeavor to give me a thumbs up. Also drop a comment for me. Let me know what you think about the dress. Subscribe if you've not subscribed, please, and also follow me on Instagram at Lilyful Designs. Thank you all for watching, and may God bless you all. Bye.